So did Kanye just admit that Drake sold his soul to the devil? Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing awesome today. And in this video, I want to look at the topic, the subject of someone selling their soul, or someone who's seen as having sold their soul to the devil. Now, that phrase right there makes a lot of people uncomfortable. There are some people who hear that and they're like, that's just conspiracy. It's not real. It's just sensationalized. It's just made for attention seeking. It's not legit. Then there are other people who hear that and they're just like, well, the devil has no right to own your soul. He's not God. So someone can't actually sell their soul to the devil since he doesn't even own it. And then other people hear this phrase and they're just like, yeah, of course. Have you not seen what's going on in celebrity culture? Do you not see the songs, the music videos, movies, all that stuff that Hollywood pumps out? Do you not see how it's just infused and bathed in satanic imagery and symbolism and just with a demonic presence attached to it? Do you not see how there are certain people who are not even talented, yet make it all the way up to the top of the celebrity pyramid scheme? How do they get there? And so this is a subject that it interests me, and it's one that I never really realized or really thought too much about up until the last couple of years, when I've just started diving into this whole thing and really seeing the demonic agenda that is out there, especially in the entertainment industry. And so the reason why this video was sparked and why I'm talking about it is Kanye was just on a recent podcast and talked about a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the things that he mentions is this idea that Drake has sold his soul to the devil. And so it's kind of created a lot of buzz. And so I'm going to play that clip. We'll chat about it. But then I also want to just paint this picture and kind of maybe make a small case of how this is an actual legit thing and how the devil really does have a foothold in the entertainment industry. But let's check out this clip first.
Yeah, did the Hoover concert together. Me and the rest of the world thought y'all were back cool. What happened after that? Like, what happened after that to where y'all didn't? Because I thought once that concert happened,
it cuts Drake's soul. It's like he signed his soul to the devil to not be cool with me, to have to, like, this is his job to go against God.
Wow.
And it cuts his soul.
Okay, so there's a couple things here that immediately jumps out. Like, Kanye is back into this whole mode where he thinks he himself is God. So, the way he references, that Drake sold his soul and that he's been, forced to go against God, and he's kind of putting himself into the God play. So, number one, I mean, if anyone has sold their soul, I'm going to say it's Kanye, because this dude says the most blasphemous things you've ever seen or you've ever heard in your life. So that's the first thing. But he does say the phrase, Drake sold his soul. And so you take Kanye out of the picture and you just focus on that phrase, sold his soul. And when you take that idea and you do some research and you do some digging into Drake, into his rise to fame, into some of the things that have been associated with him, definitely lends to the idea that he has made some kind of deal with the demonic realm. And Kanye, he's He's not afraid to point that out. He's not afraid to expose things. He's not afraid to, you know, name names. And, it's why he did get into a lot of trouble. And so I'm using this specific clip just as a springboard to the greater idea of celebrities, influencers, people in general selling their soul. Because it's not a coincidence that they use this phrase. I mean, Kanye says it here, but you see it talked about all the time. Such and such has sold their soul. They made an agreement. I mean, there's been artists who have even come out and admitted it, that they've done it. And so this whole idea is like, on one side, it can seem very, just conspiratorial and unbelievable, but at the same time, why is it always coming up? And so there's a Bible verse that I want to read, and it's from 1 Kings chapter 21, verses 25, and it's speaking of King Ahab, who is a wicked king in the northern kingdom of Israel, who was married to Jezebel, the wickedest queen Israel ever had. And this is what it says in verse 25. There was none who sold himself to do what was evil in the sight of the Lord like Ahab, whom Jezebel his wife incited. But notice the language. There was none who sold himself to do what was evil. Sold himself to do things that go completely against the ways of God. That's the biblical way of describing selling your soul. Now, let's just look at a few examples here in Hollywood. I mean, look at this. I came across this graphic, and all these people on this graphic, you have Megan Thee Stallion, Sam Smith, Doja Cat, Cardi B, Trippie Redd, Taylor Swift, Katy Perry. When they first came onto the scene, were not like this. They come out, they're all innocent looking, and then all of a sudden, over time, this becomes the transformation. I mean, one of the craziest ones is Sam Smith. When you first see him come out, little innocent looking Sam Smith, and then all of a sudden, this dude is like, I don't even know what you would call him. And that process right there, that doesn't just happen overnight. And this is the kind of stuff when you start digging in and you start doing research and you start listening to their interviews and listening to the things that are said, it's like they kind of tell you indirectly that to get to a certain level of influence and status and fame and power requires an agreement with the enemy, with the dark side. That's why everything goes demonic. When they, quote unquote, sell their soul, yes, it's for fame and influence and, money and all that stuff. But when you watch the performances after they make this deal and you see their career just take off from like a nobody and nothing to all of a sudden like world renowned. I mean, take Taylor Swift. When you see this massive ascension of influence, and then you look at the stuff that's put into her concerts, into her performances, filled with seances and demonic and satanic rituals and magic and the occult, like that's not coincidence. It's like you sell your soul, you make that deal, and yeah, you get your money and you get your fame, but you're now owned, and you can see the fruit of it. It's evident. And so this phrase, selling your soul, or someone who's sold their soul, it's a legit reality. The king of Israel, thousands of years ago, sold his soul to do what was evil in the sight of the Lord. This practice, this reality is ever present. And so here we just have Kanye dropping that line in a random podcast. Drake sold his soul. Of course, he throws himself in the God spot, but that's just Kanye. But it's not a coincidence why he chose that phrase. And so it's very real. And so it's just like I talk about this kind of stuff because so many Christians, especially, listen and watch a lot of these performers, and they look at it, and I can't tell you how many times I've reacted to things on Instagram talking about this kind of stuff, and the amount of pushback I get from Christians who don't see it, who think it's I'm being unrealistic, I'm just being dramatic, I'm fear-mongering, all this stuff, and it's like, yo, this stuff is real. And when we listen to stuff and when we watch stuff that's been demonically infused, it's going to affect you. And so many of these artists, this is what they've done. This is the deal that they've made to get where they've gotten. And there's so many stories of others who never make it that high, and they said because they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't sell their soul. I mean, there's so much stuff out there if people just want to see it's there. And so don't fall into this trap, this naive perspective where everything is just fine, or it's just being artistically creative. It's demonic, and it's going to affect you. And so don't buy into this lie that it's normal, it's fine. It's not. And so I'm going to leave it at that. Music is powerful. Movies are powerful. And if we're not careful, we can get sucked in to thinking and believing things that are anti-God. King Ahab sold his soul to do what was evil in the eyes of the Lord. All of that stuff. So much music and movies and stuff in the entertainment industry has been designed and has been birthed in opposition to the things of God. Stay away. Well, that's it for this video. That's my rant. Hope you get the heart behind it. Hope it makes sense. Feel free to leave any comments, questions in the description below. Let's start a dialogue, and we'll see you all in the next video. Much love. God bless.